Victor Habert stood in the middle of the private dining room at La Taverna Lounge, Victoria Island, holding a thin brown envelope like it weighed nothing. The soft jazz music in the background kept playing, unaware that a marriage was about to end. Justina Habert sat across from him. She was 7 months pregnant. Her hand rested on her stomach, slow and gentle. The way a mother touches a child she is still learning to love in silence. Her white dress was loose, simple, no makeup, no jewelry, except her wedding ring. Victor dropped the envelope on the table. "Happy anniversary," he said flatly. Then he added, louder, so the woman beside him could hear, "Sign the papers." The woman beside him, Anastasia, shifted in her chair. She was slim, sharp-looking, dressed in red. Her lipstick was too bright for the room. Her smile was too eager. Justina looked at the envelope. She did not open it yet. "What papers?" she asked calmly. Victor scoffed. "Don't pretend. Divorce papers." "I'm tired of pretending too." A few heads turned in nearby tables. It was their 4th wedding anniversary. Victor leaned back, crossing his arms. "I should have done this earlier, but I waited. I didn't want people to say I abandoned a pregnant woman." Anastasia laughed softly. Not nervous, proud. Justina finally opened the envelope. Her eyes moved slowly over the pages. Page 1, page 2. Her fingers did not shake. "You brought her here," Justina said, not looking up. "To our anniversary." Victor smiled. "Yes. She understands me. She supports my growth. Unlike you." Justina nodded once. She picked up the pen on the table. Victor's eyes lit up. He expected tears, begging, drama. Instead, Justina signed. No questions, no shouting, an argument. She closed the file, slid it back across the table, stood up carefully, and said the words that made Victor pause for the first time that night. "I hope your new life gives you everything you think I took from you." She turned and walked away. Victor watched her leave. The smile stayed on his face, but somewhere deep inside him, something cold shifted, and he did not know why. Because Victor Habert had just divorced the woman who owned the company he worked for. He just did not know it yet. Victor Habert used to believe talent was enough. In Surulere, where he grew up, people praised him from a young age. His drawings stood out. His designs looked different. Teachers told his mother, "This boy will go far." But Lagos was not gentle with dreams. By 32, Victor was still renting a small apartment off Bodie Thomas Street, sewing late into the night, chasing clients who paid late or not at all. Instagram likes did not turn into money. Exposure did not pay rent. Justina met him during one of those seasons. She was quiet, soft-spoken. She listened more than she talked. They met at a small cafe in Yaba. Victor had gone there to sketch in peace. Justina asked him about his notebook. "You draw clothes?" she asked. "Yes," Victor said proudly. "High-end fashion. Global standard." She smiled. "I like the way you shade the sleeves." That sentence stayed with him. They started talking. Coffee turned into long walks. Long walks turned into love. Victor liked that Justina never asked for anything. No pressure. No loud demands. No competition. When he told her he wanted to blow internationally, she nodded like it was already done. "I believe you," she said. That belief felt like fuel. They married quietly. No big party, just family and a few friends. Victor promised her everything. But as time passed, reality stayed stubborn. Clients came and went. Bills came and stayed. When Justina got pregnant, Victor's joy lasted exactly 2 weeks. After that, fear took over. "How will we manage?" he asked one night, pacing the room. Justina was folding baby clothes. "Oh, we will," she said. "We always do," Victor snapped. "You say that because you don't worry about money." She looked up. "That's not true. You don't hustle like me," he said. "You don't know pressure." Justina went quiet. Victor did not know that she did know pressure. He just never asked the right questions. Pregnancy softened Justina. Victor resented that softness. She stopped rushing. Stopped chasing noise. She cooked calmly. Read books. Took long walks. Slept early. Victor saw laziness. "Other women are pushing their husbands," he said one night. "They are doing business. They are adding value. Justina looked at him. I am adding value by keeping peace. Victor laughed bitterly. Peace doesn't pay rent. That night, he slept facing the wall, and something broke quietly between them. When Victor saw the email, his heart jumped. Remote fashion consultancy. UK-based firm. The pay was good. Very good. He applied immediately. He stayed up nights preparing, designing, pitching. When the acceptance email came, he shouted, I got it, he yelled. Justina smiled. I knew you would. He hugged her. For the first time in weeks, he felt tall again. Victor worked hard. The company loved him. His ideas stood out. His confidence returned. 6 months later, another email came. Relocation approved. Senior manager role. Victor did not sleep that night. London. Status. Money. He was finally seen. Justina hugged him gently. I'm proud of you. Victor barely heard her. London changed Victor fast. The suits. The accent. The assistants. He stopped calling home regularly. When Justina called, he sounded busy. I'm in a meeting. I'll call you back. I'm tired. The calls became messages. The messages became silence. Then came Anastasia. Sharp. Bold. Always laughing. She admired his success loudly. You're wasted back there, she told him once. You deserve more. Victor liked how that sounded. The waiter cleared the table after Justina left. Victor raised his glass. To new beginnings, he said. Anastasia clinked her glass with his. Neither of them noticed the way the waiter looked at Victor with pity, or the way the empty chair across from him felt heavier than it should. Victor thought the story had ended, but it had only just begun, because a week later, an email landed in his inbox. Subject: Executive promotion and formal CEO. Introduction. He smiled. Then he read the next line. Please attend with your wife. Victor leaned back. No problem, he said aloud. He turned to Anastasia. Pack your best dress, he said. You're coming with me. And somewhere in Lagos, Justina Habert placed her hand on her stomach, felt her baby kick, and prepared for a meeting Victor would never forget. The email stayed open on Victor Habert's laptop for a long time. He read it again. And again. Executive promotion approved. Mandatory attendance. CEO introduction and strategic dinner. Location: Canary Wharf, London. Victor smiled slowly. This was it. This was the moment that would erase every insult Lagos had ever thrown at him. Every unpaid bill. Every night he slept hungry, with designs spread across the floor. He straightened his suit jacket and called Anastasia. Get ready, he said. This is big. Anastasia squealed on the phone. I knew it. I told you they see your value. Victor liked how that sounded. Justina Habert woke before dawn. Pregnancy had changed her sleep. She no longer slept deeply. Her body carried another heartbeat now, and it made her alert in ways she could not explain. She sat up slowly in the guest room of her mother's house in Ikeja. The room was simple, white walls, a small fan, a framed photo of her and Victor on their wedding day before things broke. She stared at the photo for a moment. No anger, no tears, just memory. Then she stood up and opened her laptop. The screen came alive. A dashboard appeared. Numbers, charts, names. A. Habert Global Fashion, Ltd. A. Habert Creative Consultancy. OK. 2 companies. 1 founder. Her. Justina Habert. She had built them years ago, long before Victor. During her quiet seasons in the UK. When she worked late nights and saved carefully. When she learned to separate peace from noise, she never told Victor. Not because she was hiding, but because she had learned something early in life. Some people love you until they see your power. Her phone buzzed. A message from her legal advisor in London. Ma'am, the CEO unveiling is set. Are you attending in person? Justina typed back. Yes, I'll be there. She closed the laptop and rested her hand on her stomach. Just a little longer, she whispered to her baby. Victor moved through London like the city owed him respect. He now lived in a serviced apartment near Greenwich. Glass walls, clean lines, quiet streets. He drove a company car. He had assistants who waited for his instructions. When he spoke on calls, people listened. That feeling being listened to was addictive. Anastasia fit into his new life easily. She wore the right clothes, said the right things, posted photos with captions that made him look important. "I'm proud of my man. Power moves only." Victor stopped thinking about Justina. When he did, it was with irritation. "She was holding me back," he told Anastasia one night. Anastasia nodded quickly. Some women are only meant for certain seasons. Victor believed her. 2 days before the unveiling, Victor received another message. Private strategy dinner, CEO and senior executives. Dress code. Formal. Attendance required. He forwarded it to Anastasia. "You see?" he said proudly. "They're moving me closer to the top." Anastasia smiled, but something flickered in her eyes. "Do you know who the CEO is?" she asked. Victor shrugged. "Never seen her. She's always been behind the scenes. Board level." Anastasia laughed lightly. "Probably some old British woman." Victor laughed too. They did not know. Justina landed quietly at Heathrow. No cameras. No noise. A driver waited for her with a simple sign. A Mrs. J. Habert. A Mrs. J. Habert. She noticed that detail and smiled. At the hotel, she rested, took her time, drank warm tea. That evening, she stood in front of the mirror. She wore a navy blue maternity dress. Simple, elegant, no heavy jewelry, just calm confidence. She looked like herself. Her phone rang. Ma'am," the voice said, "all arrangements are complete." Justina replied, "Thank you." She ended the call and sat on the edge of the bed. She was not nervous, but she was curious. The restaurant overlooked the Thames. Soft lights, quiet voices, crystal glasses. Victor walked in with Anastasia on his arm. People turned. Not because of Anastasia, but because of Victor. He enjoyed it. They were seated near the center. Executives arrived one by one. Victor greeted them confidently. "Good evening. A pleasure to see you. I'm looking forward to working closely." Anastasia sat tall, smiling. Then the room shifted. Not loudly, subtly. Conversations paused. Heads turned. Victor followed their gaze. A woman had just walked in. She was calm, pregnant, elegant. Victor felt something strange move in his chest. No, it could not be. The woman walked past their table without looking at them. Victor's heart began to race. "5, do you know her?" Anastasia whispered. Victor swallowed. No, but his hands were cold. The woman took a seat at the head of the table. The board members stood. Victor stood too, slowly. Then the chairman cleared his throat. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "thank you for being here. Tonight marks a new phase for our company." Victor leaned forward. "And it is my honor to formally introduce our Chief Executive Officer." The woman stood. Victor's breath stopped. She turned. Their eyes met. Justina Habert, his ex-wife, the woman he divorced in public, the pregnant woman he called a burden. The room applauded. Victor did not move. He did not clap. He did not breathe. Justina smiled not at him but at the room. "Good evening," she said calmly. Victor felt the world tilt. Anastasia looked at him, confused. "Victor," she whispered. He could not answer, because in that moment, everything he thought he knew collapsed, and the truth rose quiet, strong, undeniable. Victor sat down slowly, not because he wanted to, but because his legs could no longer hold him. The applause filled the room, but it sounded far away, like noise underwater. His palms were sweating. His mouth was dry. Justina stood at the head of the table, one hand resting lightly on her stomach, the other holding the edge of the chair. She looked calm, steady, in control, as if this moment had been planned long ago. Victor's mind raced. This is a mistake. This has to be another Justina. This cannot be my wife. His ex-wife. The one he handed divorce papers to in front of his mistress. Anastasia leaned closer. "Victor, why is she looking at you like that?" 5. Victor did not answer, because Justina had finally turned her gaze toward him. Their eyes locked, and in that second, Victor understood something that made his chest tighten. She knew everything. "Thank you," Justina said to the board, her voice soft but clear. "Please, everyone, sit." People obeyed. Victor noticed that. How easily they listened to her. She continued, I'm happy to finally meet you all in person. I've worked with many of you for years, even if I wasn't physically present. Her eyes moved briefly, just briefly back to Victor. He felt exposed. Like a lie standing in the open. I believe in quiet work, she said. Let results speak. Several executives nodded. Victor remembered all the times he had mocked Justina for being too calm, for not talking too much, for not pushing herself into noise. Now that same calm filled the room with authority. The chairman smiled. We're honored to have you here, Mrs. Habert. Victor flinched at the name. Habert. His name. Anastasia's smile disappeared. Habert, she whispered sharply. Victor, that's your... Victor raised his hand slightly, signaling her to stop. His heart was pounding. The meeting begins. Justina sat. Before we proceed, she said, I want to welcome our newly promoted senior manager. She looked directly at Victor now. Victor Habert. Every head turned toward him. Victor stood on weak legs. A thank you, he said, forcing a smile. It's an honor. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. Justina nodded politely. I've reviewed your work closely. You've contributed significantly. Victor swallowed. I'm glad to finally meet you in person, he said, choosing his words carefully. Justina tilted her head slightly. We've met before, she replied. A few people chuckled, thinking it was a joke. Victor's face burned. Anastasia shifted uncomfortably. A private moment. After the meeting, waiters served food. Conversations restarted. But Victor could not eat. Justina stood and addressed the room again. Please excuse me for a moment. She walked past Victor's table. As she passed, she stopped. Victor, she said quietly, may I speak with you privately? The room went silent. Victor nodded quickly. Of course. Anastasia reached for his arm. Victor, he gently pulled away. They followed Justina into a small glass room overlooking the river. The door closed. Silence. Heavy. Thick. Unavoidable. Victor finally spoke. Justina. She raised her hand. Please, she said. Let me speak first. Victor closed his mouth. She looked at him carefully. Not with anger. Not with tears. With clarity. I never hid who I was, she said. You never asked. Victor opened his mouth again. She continued. When you complained that I was doing nothing, you never once asked what I did before marriage. I was under pressure, Victor said quickly. I didn't know. She nodded. Exactly. You didn't know. And you didn't care to. Victor felt small. You called me a burden, she said softly. While carrying your child. That sentence hit harder than any shout. Victor's shoulders dropped. I'm sorry, he said. I made mistakes. Justina studied him. I signed the divorce papers because I saw who you had become, she said. And I needed peace. For myself. For my child. Victor stepped closer. We can talk. We can fix this. I didn't know you were... She stopped him with a look. This conversation is not about marriage, she said. It's about work. Victor frowned. Work? She nodded. Your position here. Hope flickered in his chest. I've always supported your talent, she continued. That hasn't changed. Victor exhaled. But, she added, character matters. The word but hung in the air. Justina straightened her shoulders. You will continue your role, she said. Under strict oversight. Transparency, integrity. Victor nodded eagerly. Anything. She looked him in the eye. I expect honesty, she said. No shortcuts, no ego. Victor agreed quickly. Yes, I understand. She turned to leave. Victor hesitated, then said, Justina, thank you. She paused. For what? She asked. For not destroying me, he said. She looked at him for a long moment. Destruction, she said quietly, is something people often do to themselves. Then she walked out. Victor stood there, shaken, but something inside him was not humbled. It was wounded pride, and wounded pride does not always heal quietly. That night, Victor sat alone in his apartment. Anastasia had left early, angry and confused. Victor poured himself a drink. His promotion suddenly felt fragile, his power borrowed. He stared at his laptop. Files, access, systems. He thought of the way people stood when Justina entered the room, the way she controlled everything. She thinks she's better than me, he thought. The apology he gave earlier began to feel bitter on his tongue. She embarrassed me. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. A dangerous thought formed. I'll show her I'm not small. And that was the moment Victor chose pride over peace. Victor did not sleep that night. London was quiet outside his glass window, but inside his head, noise would not stop. The kind of noise that comes when pride feels wounded and refuses to sit down. He replayed the dinner again and again. The way people stood when Justina entered. The way they listened to her. The way she said his name, Victor Habert, like it was just another line on a document. Not husband. Not partner. Employee. He clenched his jaw. She thinks she owns me, he muttered to himself. Victor opened his laptop. The company system welcomed him instantly. His new access level gave him more doors than before. More files. More power. He stared at the screen. For a moment, a small voice tried to speak. You were given mercy. Take it. But another voice was louder. You were embarrassed. Take control. Victor chose the louder voice. It started small. A report adjusted here. A number shifted there. Nothing that would cause alarm. Victor told himself it was harmless. They won't even notice, he whispered. He justified it easily. I helped build this place. My ideas brought growth. I deserve more. Each small change made him bolder. His chest lifted. His fear faded. He felt powerful again. Justina's silence. Justina noticed the changes within days. Not the obvious ones. The subtle ones. She had always trusted patterns more than words. Late-night system activity. Files accessed without reason. Tiny inconsistencies that did not match the company's clean rhythm. She did not react. She observed. At home in her London apartment, she sat quietly, reviewing reports while her baby kicked gently. Patience, she whispered to herself. She had learned long ago that rushing gave liars time to clean their tracks. Silence made them careless. Victor grew reckless. He started creating false approvals, redirecting funds through shadow accounts, signing documents that did not exist. Each move fed his pride. She thinks she's smarter than me, he thought. I'll show her who really runs things. Anastasia noticed the change. You've been tense, she said one night. What's going on? Victor snapped. Stay out of it. She frowned. Victor, this company, I said stay out of it. She went quiet. That silence should have warned him. It didn't. The alert. At exactly 2:17 a.m. Justina's phone vibrated. An automated alert. Irregular activity detected. Level red. She closed her eyes briefly. So it had begun. She did not panic. She did not rush. She forwarded the alert to 3 contacts. Her legal advisor, her financial auditor, Anne, international compliance firm. Then she turned off her phone and slept. 2 days later, Victor noticed something strange. His access slowed, then restricted, then blocked. He frowned and called it. System update, they said. Temporary. Victor laughed it off, but the laugh did not reach his eyes. By evening, 2 unfamiliar men stood outside his office. They wore suits, neutral faces. Mr. Habert, one said. We need to ask you a few questions. Victor's heart skipped. This is unnecessary, he said. I'm senior management. The man nodded politely. That's exactly why. Justina speaks. The board meeting was brief. Justina stood at the head of the table again, calm, composed. There has been a breach of trust, she said, and trust is the backbone of this company. No names yet, just facts. International regulators had been notified. Independent audits were underway. Full cooperation was required. Victor sat stiffly, his hands folded too tightly. He avoided her eyes. The arrest. It happened on a grey morning. Victor was leaving his apartment when the car stopped. Not company security. Authorities. He did not shout. He did not run. As they read his rights, his mind finally cleared. Justina stood across the street, watching from a distance. She did not smile. She did not cry. She placed one hand on her stomach. Victor saw her. Their eyes met one last time. In that moment, Victor understood something too late. She never needed revenge. Justice had come on its own. Victor Habert sat alone in the interview room. The walls were white. Too white. The kind of white that makes you feel smaller the longer you stare at it. His wrists rested on the cold table. Not cuffed. Not yet. But he already felt trapped. Across from him sat two investigators. One British, one Nigerian. Files lay open between them. Thick files, bank records, emails, digital footprints Victor never knew existed. They did not raise their voices. They did not insult him. They let the evidence speak, and the evidence was loud. You accessed restricted systems. The British investigator said calmly. If you falsified approvals, you redirected company funds through international channels. Victor shook his head weakly. I was trying to protect my position. The Nigerian investigator leaned forward slightly. You destroyed it. Victor's throat tightened. Do you know who reported the irregularities? The British man asked. Victor already knew, but hearing it still hurt. Oh, the CEO, he whispered. Yes, the man replied. Your former wife. Victor closed his eyes. For the first time, real fear entered him. Not the fear of losing status. Not the fear of shame. The fear of consequences. The trial. The case moved fast. Too fast for Victor's liking. International cooperation. Corporate fraud. Breach of trust at executive level. His lawyers tried. But facts do not bend for pride. In court, Victor saw Justina again. She sat quietly behind her legal team. No dramatic outfit. No sharp words. Just calm. She did not testify against him emotionally. She testified factually. Dates. Systems. Patterns. The judge listened. So did the world. The sentence. When the verdict came, the room was silent. Victor Habert, the judge said. Your actions were deliberate, sustained, and destructive. You abused trust, placed in you at the highest level. Victor felt his chest tighten. You are hereby sentenced to life imprisonment for corporate fraud under international law. The gavel struck. Life. It's... The word echoed. Victor's knees buckled. Anastasia was not there. No one held his hand. As officers led him away, Victor turned his head one last time. Justina was already standing. Not to look at him, but to leave. Justina's choice. Outside the courtroom, reporters waited. Questions flew. Is Mrs. Habert, how do you feel? Do you regret marrying him? Is this revenge? Justina stopped. She turned. Her voice was steady. This is not revenge, she said. This is accountability. Then she left. That evening, Justina sat alone in her apartment. The city lights blinked outside. She placed both hands on her stomach. It's over, she whispered to her child. Tears finally came. Not for Victor, for the dream she once believed in. She cried quietly. Then she breathed. And the world kept moving. What is your view about this story? Where are you watching from? Do well to let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories. Stay blessed.